Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for November 26th through 29th, 2021. Wow, we've had quite a shift of energy here. We have a period of time after all of these squares and oppositions and tension and pressure and retrograde. And now there's like a breather. And it feels like we are being asked to supernova souls rise above the ashes of the past, step up and claim our rightful place as we lead the way for humanity to claim its rightful place in the cosmos. We have been a slave planet, and the energy of this is that the collective not realizing that they're playing along and complicit in this slavery is actually what's kept us from being able to shift out of this paradigm. It's been thousands of years in the making. And supernova souls, you have gone to the depths, and yet you never let go of the light within, and you never gave up. So this period of time is very interesting after the whole year of 2021 being all about tension and pressure and those squares and oppositions where it's like, what are you going to do? You're up against the wall. And now we're having this beautiful experience of sextiles, which is 60 degrees apart, 2 signs over. This is about creative solutions and in air and fire signs. And then also we've got a sextile water and earth, and we've got a water between Mars and Neptune. So it's almost like, what are we even going to do with ourselves with all this harmonious energy? And yet the world is still playing out this dark movie. And this is the interesting thing. We've all been waiting and talking about these changes that we're going to see in the world and this massive disclosure and this, how we've had all these energetic shifts and changes, but our manifest world is not at all reflecting back to us these changes. And at some point, these timelines have to reconcile. Now, that's exactly where we're at in this very strange time in between eclipses. And eclipse season is about timeline alignment. It's about things that have been hidden, revealed, and kind of almost like a nudge into a more ideal timeline. This is happening for the collective right now. And there are a powerful, amazing group of souls on the planet right now that perhaps have no idea they're doing this work in landing this ideal timeline. That's you, supernova souls. I got this picture, this message that ascended masters, meaning souls that have already experienced having a physical body and no longer need a physical body for their evolution, and particularly those masters that have this experience of going through earth evolution and similar experiences and understanding, supporting us in what we're doing. But there's this energy of this message around if there's any way possible on any level for these master souls to take a body, even though they may have thought they'd never ever come back here in form, right? But if there's any way possible for them to take a body, they're doing it. There's more masters, living masters, embodied in physical bodies on Earth more than ever before. And so these souls, and you supernova souls, angels, are working your butt off, just working against all odds to put a pin down of this divine timeline, our optimal timeline. With these sextiles that are happening, they're focused around Saturn in Aquarius. And Saturn in Aquarius is speaking to building in the new age and our rightful place in the universe as galactic beings. We've been in a quarantine, told that we're just a small little speck floating out there in space, and it's time for us to come into our greater family of beings and experiences and claim back our sovereignty from those that have held us under control. The whole point of the control energies in this evolution was to try to convince us that, or try to scare us away and distract us from our spiritual evolution, because they're feeding on us and using our power to create their paradigm. But once we ascend into higher vibrational frequencies, they can't exist there. So the whole thing is all about holding back our spiritual ascension, spiritual evolution, and it's gone on long enough now. And the pressure, that's what this 2021 is about, has been about, the astrology, the pressure of the changes. It's like it's almost like we've been holding back, they've been trying to hold back time and trying to hold back our spiritual evolution. And now the pressure is just so great. And so, what's really important message right now for supernova souls seems to be to remember that you never gave up, you never lost your light, you went through hell and back, and that's because you can stand right now. And as humanity takes its rightful place in its autonomy, they can only do that with supernova souls and these advanced masters supporting and guiding the way. So, this time for us is like, okay, can you let yourself breathe? Can you take care of yourself? Can you lift up out of these traumas that we have been become addicted to? In our consciousness, it's like it's all we know. And as soon as we stand up, supernova souls, it feels like we've been getting knocked back down. That's because you are a warrior. And because you didn't give up. If you were fully succumbed into the matrix, which is kind of impossible for supernova souls, but nobody would be bothering you. It wouldn't, you wouldn't be feeling like that under attack and targeted energy. So that's evidence that you have been doing it. And so now it's time for us to get more deliberate in what we're doing. Oh, we're landing an ideal timeline. That means that every moment of every day, in our presence, in the truth, and being more and more the truth of who we really are as powerful and amazing beings, the inner wealth, as we can hold that vibration and be true to this that's inside of ourselves, that's how we are landing the most ideal timeline. And so it's like we're in this game right now, in between timelines or divergent timelines, in between ages, trying to switch over to the Aquarian age. And everything that we do, it's like we're having an experience of like everything that we do affecting or experience is affecting that ultimate outcome. And so it's so dynamic. It's like fire. And that fire is kind of going every which way. And now it's time to focus this flame and be very deliberate with what we're doing. And that for the supernova souls means self-validation for all you've gone through and how much you're kicking ass right now, even though it might feel like you're barely making it and very alone. Supernova souls, I'm sorry that it's been like this for us. This deep, profound isolation, it's not a mistake. Isolation is a key way that a key component of brainwashing and manipulation and control. So that isolation, now what we've been doing over this last couple of years has been breaking through those programs where we agreed to disperse, we agreed not to be together, we agreed to fear our own power, we agreed to stay silent, we agreed to stay in shame and separate. And what we've been doing on the activations and the soul group sessions and these videos is like opening up these pathways. And this is a really important concept right now, is that, and we talked about it so much, but that changes that occur first occur energetically. First was the word, which is vibration, then form. And this is like very much displayed in homeopathy, or in just in general with our health, where say you have, you're getting sick and first you'll feel off before the symptoms come. And then the same thing with healing. First, the vibration, the remedy will support the vibration of the energetic field to shift so that healing can occur. Then the symptoms change. So we've been waiting and waiting for this outer manifestation of the changes that are coming, for the validation outside of ourselves, for something to just tell us that we're on the right track and we're doing it validate who we are, and it's not coming. And it's incredibly frustrating. But I guess the message is that it's because first it's an energetic shift. And I know we've been in this, but we are in that tide turning place. From now until the end of the year, and around solstice, Christmas to the end of the year, is a resolve of all the astrology of 2021 and for the cycles of time. So we are being asked to rise up in these times from the ashes, from the trauma, and get back on that horse of destiny. The Sagittarius energy is about the hero's journey, and this very much fits Supernova Souls. Everything in the whole archetype, it's a very interesting thing to study, the hero's journey, which is how all major drama, television, movies, it all follows this, this story. And this is also the Supernova Soul story, being separated from your true home, from your true family, going out alone on a journey, and but then becoming that hero, facing the darkest dark, rising up to be that leader that can light the way for others. So this is a lot about the spiritual energy of Sagittarius and reaching up, seeing out there the possibilities, and being brave enough to see beyond the stories that we are told and write our own story. And it's the creator's story. It's the divine timeline. And we've been in on it all along. And they've made us feel like anything about what was going on. And we're the only ones who held this sacred fire in our heart. So what's happening right now is that the Sun and Mercury have been together and stay quite close together for a couple of weeks. And their exact conjunction in Sagittarius happens on the 29th, 30th. So right there at the end of the month. We're already feeling this conjunction starting yesterday. It was really coming closer. And so Mercury just moved into Sag, and it went over that. The Sun went over the South Node a few days ago when it moved in. And then now they're taking turns. They're going to take turns going over Vesta, asteroid Vesta, the sacred fire. Now, the sacred fire is the creation fire. It's representative of our destiny and our spiritual purpose, but specifically around our fire within our creation energy. And this is associated with the feminine. The fires were the goddess fires that held the hope and flame and light for the people. And those were extinguished by the control energies behind church organizations. Now, so right now, this astrology is about claiming back our spiritual destiny and our sacred flame in our heart, which never went out. This is why you're here. And so as these planets, so we've got the Sun just going over Vesta. That'll be tomorrow. And then Mercury will go over Vesta on Sunday. So, and then they come into their conjunction together early next week. And pretty much through next week, the Sun and Mercury. So the Sun is who do we think we are, our identity, and Mercury, our mind, our constructs. And it's like an alignment of our higher mind with our heart and our destiny and our identity. No more playing all these games, right? Are you done? Have you had enough now? What we're being shown is where we've been playing a game, playing a role, pretending to be what we're not. And now it's time to and then waiting for the external world to be like, oh, hey, you over there, come on. And it's like, it's just not happening, because we have to find that strength and that knowing and that validation within. But we are being asked to rise up. So this, the Sun and Mercury in Sagittarius will be an exact trine coming in when they conjunct, an exact trine with Chiron and Aries. So a fire trine, and that energy is very harmonious. And it's about this activation of that creative juice, of this reason for living, our purpose. We're here to lead the way for humanity to come back into purpose. which is spiritual truth, which is God consciousness, which is we're working on a way bigger story here, you know? And that Sun Mercury conjunction has got that energy that we've been working on for so long, this ego death, right? It's like, well, who you thought you were isn't really who you are. And who you thought you were is connected to all these old stories, that South Node in Sagittarius, all those old traumas where you got pulled off your path, where you got killed, where you got exiled, where you got tortured, the dark energies of the persecution of the light of the Piscean age. And so we are reclaiming our whole being back, putting the pieces together. You know, as advanced souls, we've been highly targeted in ways that we can't even imagine. And it's going to be quite an uncovering and a healing that needs to happen because we may have had clones and different pieces of our soul being used for things that we never really said yes to on some level, I guess. But the energy of this next eclipse, the solar eclipse at 12 degrees, 22 minutes, Sagittarius coming up on the 4th, and there will be a soul group session for that on the 3rd. So watch out for that. I'll have information coming out about that soon. But the energy around this solar eclipse is like pulling back all of the pieces of yourself, soul retrieval, that now it's time to come home. And ironically, it's interesting because we talk about spiritual ascension and supernova souls are leading the way for spiritual ascension, but ascension has an energy of like lifting up, which we are. We're lifting up out of the dross, out of the physicality and our identification with the physical, but we're actually descending the light, heaven, and the divine timeline here on Earth with Mother Earth. We're going right along with Mother Earth. She actually leads the way in spiritual ascension. So when we say ascend, it kind of feels like, oh, well, we're going to go off over here and you on Earth can figure your shit out. You had us this whole time. You could have gotten all this light and healing and spiritual truth, and you never wanted anything to do with us, right? And so, but that's not actually the case. We are descending. We are transforming our physical body and the earth into light. So, we are, because you never gave up and because you still have this fire, even if it's just the tiniest little spot, of this fire within you, you never gave that up, and that it puts you perfectly poised to guide humanity back into purposeful living. This is the definition of humanity. It's the definition of life. Life fights for life. This is what was discovered by Bruce Lipton in his studies of the cell and how it acts in the cells, how they act in the body. And kind of a fundamental discovery, which totally makes sense. But the definition of life, and especially human life, is to fight for life. And most of humanity is walking around half dead and not really caring and just making it through. And what is even the point? So this time is about coming back into purpose, which is like, if you're a spiritual being living an earth experience, then you're automatically living in purpose. But now it's time for us who have never let go of this purpose, even though it got so squashed and so invalidated, to stand up and claim that back, because it's time for us to lead the way. And it's a lot to ask us supernova souls, after everything we've gone through, to turn around and be strong leaders. But that's what this is about. And that's what this astrology is about. So we've got this identity crisis that has to do with all these old stories of who we were told we are, which is to trap us into trauma and an addiction to trauma, so that we can never evolve beyond that. So we can never put our pieces of ourselves back together. And so it's the Sun Mercury conjunction in Sag going over South Node Vesta. It's like a short circuitry in the matrix, right? It's like, it's kind of like, oh, what's going on? So a lot of people are having lapses in time or strange experiences, kind of, this is also Mother Earth speaking to you, that we're not in time anymore. This is a whole different game. And when we are trying to figure out the future, and we're, because the future is being created every moment in this dynamic time that we're in, this landing, this divine timeline. So that is kind of a powerful message to support us right now, in that when we find ourselves trying to manipulate or have an agenda, um, in the past or the future, that's not how we're working now. That was 3D, but that's not how we're working now. And so just continue to bring it back to that place within you, the sacred fire that's being reignited of purpose. What's the purpose right here, right now, the only time we have? And that will help us align, because the truth that we're being asked to live, the way, way bigger truth of these massive spiritual gifts that we have, that we're here to show humanity that they have too. Um, it's so beautiful and so profound, and it's so more true. So when we're letting go of our old identities, it feels like we're letting go of something, like we're dying, like we're dissolving into nothing. And that's just part of the journey, but we're not actually letting go of anything. We're becoming more true, more big. We are a manifestation, a fractal of God consciousness. And God has our creation energy that we're working with has a beautiful expression, personality, and we are a facet of that. And so it always feels like the ego death experience can feel like just completely dissolving into nothing and losing who you are, but it's actually losing who you're not, who we've all been trapped into thinking we are, playing out these games. And right now, life is becoming a very strange game in order to show you and us that we are in a game so we can get out of the game. It's that weird trap of fourth dimensional reality as we try to go from 3 to 5. And so, but this astrology is so light and so supportive and so like, it's like shining the light. It's like, oh, yeah, there's no way I can deny this greater spiritual truth and destiny anymore. It's who I am. And it's so beautiful. And let's just get going on what we came here to do, right? Let's live in the solutions and the vision. One thing that's coming forward is this picture of supernova souls coming in. They came in a pot. You guys came in a pot in your soul group. So you've been together from the very beginning of this whole thing. And that's why the supernova soul group sessions are so effective, because we've had very similar past life patterns. So we can look at that and get clearings and understanding, clarity. Um, but this also, there's this picture of like, we've been coming in together, and of course we've had to disperse, right? And we had to, in order to stay safe and protect the sacred teachings, we had to pretend we didn't even know each other and go to all ends of the earth. Is this how you feel right now? I know it's almost over. And just stay connected. Claim that psychic connection, because that's exactly what we're talking about, forging those pathways so that we can come together in person very, very soon. And so, but this picture of that, we were able to come together at some times during this evolution, and what we were doing, and this is very different for the different soul groups, but in general, supernova souls, it's like we have had this vision, this DNA, God molecule in us, this memory of spiritual ascension and soul memory of light body. And as we've come in, we've been planting seeds in different places in this evolution. These seeds are about the way we know a way, way, way better way to live and do this on earth. It's that utopian vision. And that's exactly what our spiritual evolution has been trying to push us into. But as soon as there's an influx of light, the dark control energies just came down with a hammer and try to break that shit. But you cannot be broken. You are a testament of spiritual power. And spiritual power is not a physical thing. It's an energetic thing. And this is what we're talking about as we come into our greater abilities, that we've always had, but we've been disconnected to. So this Sun Mercury in Sagittarius is like, reach up. This isn't for nothing. You're not just trapped here for eternity. You're here to get out of the trap and lead the way in a triumphant return to that God self. And So claiming back that sacred fire within, living with purpose. What does it mean to live with purpose? You know, every single time you find yourself out there in the problems and trying to find solutions in the past and the future and working all out and the dynamics and the healing and all that and just I'm in purpose right now and trying to work from that place. So that is the Sun Mercury conjunction and then in that trine with Chiron. So Chiron in Aries, the deepest wounds where we have given up our life force in order to survive. That's when you're really backed into the corner. And this is how a lot of supernova souls felt in the Piscean age. It's like, well, you can go along with the program or we're going to kill you. Now, then we evolved to the point, energetically, what happens from, it seems, through looking at past life stories that have come through individual sessions, that you may get killed for who you are or what, not so much of what you did, but who you are as a light being. But then it only takes, that can only happen a time or two. And then we evolve beyond that. And we have like a natural protection. And this is a lot of supernova souls almost feel like, wait a minute, they're not coming for me this time. Now what do I do? And this is exactly what this period of time is about. It's about like, whoa, I was so consumed and so distracted and so overwhelmed with the survival mode, right? And staying alive. And especially as an advanced soul with your soul memory and the truth of who you are and this big, profound spiritual gifts that you carry. And then it's like, wait a minute, that energy is shifting. And now what do I do? And it's like, we got to take this opportunity to breathe and rise from the ashes of those trauma stories and step into this light of truth of who we are. It's so much more true than all of the stories we've been living, but it's a little bit scary as we make that transition. It's that free fall feeling. But this is exactly what the astrology is about. And it's kind of like, so a lot of supernova souls have gotten to where you've gotten right now because it's like you've gone through it. You've gone to the depths. You're not scared anymore. Fear doesn't exist and death doesn't exist. You are so powerful and so beautiful. And I know it's like nobody around you has been able to see it or receive it. That doesn't mean it's not real. As part of the program, they wanted to erase you. And where did we play along and go ahead and hide and be small and, well, I got to stay safe and I got to protect the teachings and I got to protect my people. And now it's like time to take the mask off. No more silencing. So that trine between Chiron and the Sun and Mercury, then in between those two is a sextile on both sides with Saturn. Saturn in Aquarius at 8 degrees, transformation. So this is about transforming the plan. So Saturn has this energy of like the divine plan, but then how it's been distorted and twisted, and how we got stuck and trapped as in slavery for way too long. I mean, who knows? Maybe we're just doing it exactly right, but that this sextile between these, because Saturn is in an air sign, Aquarius, speaking to building in the new age, and it's saying we can do this. It's time. We've got the energy is on our side finally. But then can we even receive that? Because it's been, how when things are like nothing's working out, it's like one thing after another that's like the constant attack and sabotage in our lives. And then when something does work out, it's like really hard to trust it, right? So it's that Stockholm syndrome. We've been slaves and persecuted for so long. How do we even be free as advanced souls? And it's quite a 180-degree turn from persecuted, hidden, alone, invalidated, invisible, erased, to standing up in our power and taking our rightful place as the leaders of the new age. Whoo! But I'll tell you what, one step on that path feels so much better than where we've been stuck for so long. So let's do this together. And so it's a really sweet energy because we also have a sextile between Venus in Capricorn and Neptune in Pisces. And Mars is in trine to Neptune in Pisces. So we've got fire trine, and we've got that air sextiles between fire and air. We've got a water trine and sextile between earth and water. So all of the elements are represented, and it's the perfect dynamic alchemical time for us to step through, out from behind the curtain of who we were told we were, and reveal that Oz, that ego, and the control energies that have been keeping us in slavery. But we can't just drop all that stuff, because that's like a vacuum. Who's going to guide us? What are we going to replace these structures with that are so rotten to the core? That's you. So start brainstorming, start being in the vision of what is this utopian community you've been working on throughout this whole evolution. You came and you planted little seeds all over the earth. And now it's time to grow those seeds. We finally get to do it. And what does it look like to you? What's your piece in the puzzle? If you had funds to create a project or a program that could bring benefit and help support the structures, the new structures that are going to hold humanity through this transition, what does that look like? This is a really good energy to vision and imagine and get ourselves absolutely in alignment, right? Coming back to that purpose and living from that energy. And it's so, it can be such great medicine to just allow yourself to be in the energy of solutions. And that's what these sextiles are about. So Venus in Capricorn, sextile Neptune, this is about spiritual service, and it's about our feminine side of each of us that has been persecuted, cast aside, not listened to, invalidated, the emotional part of ourselves, the intuitive part of ourselves, the healer part of ourselves. And so coming back into our own authority, this Venus in Capricorn, this is an intense energy we're going to be feeling for the next 3 months, because Venus is preparing to take a retrograde and has moved into retrograde shadow in Capricorn, which will, just like Mercury had that never-ending square with Pluto, now Venus has this ongoing conjunction with Pluto. But it's like Venus coming into council, because Pluto represents our true psychic power, the energies of what we don't understand from the future and ancient past. In Capricorn, the false power structures. And so Venus is a negotiation here for the next couple of months, and learning how to undo. It's like, okay, so now she's been released from the dungeon and she's supposed to go be a queen. That's going to take some preparation, some work, some healing, some focus, some support, community. Are we ready for this? Are we ready for that? For the next phase? This is what this astrology is saying. The tension, the trauma, has served us to get us here. Now we're going to do it differently. We're going to slip out of that game and start being that living, breathing example of what's possible outside of time, in purpose, that fire in the heart, relit or rekindled. It never went out. That's why it's been so hard for you. You never gave up. Now it's time to feed that fire and focus that fire in this spiritual purpose, because that's what Neptune in Pisces, the higher octave of Neptune in Pisces, represents, is spiritual service. What are we even doing this for? Are we here for self-gratification and playing around in the material realm? Or are we trying to support humanity in coming into its full potential? And so we have all had our spiritual destiny stolen from us, stripped away through what we've gone through, but it never really went anywhere, and it only got stronger. So this is a time of empowerment, and we want to use this advantage. That's kind of the energy going on. There's no, we just don't have a lot of tension right now. And so it's like a breather. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, validate yourself, love yourself, be in the energy of solutions and purpose. And the archer, Sagittarius, sees beyond the play, right? Sees the horizon, the greater horizon of what's possible. And can we go there and bring it here, just like we're going to us to we're ascending into these heaven vibrations, but we're actually descending those to earth along with Mother Earth in this spiritual ascension. So thank you so much, Supernova Souls, for being so amazing and making it through everything you've gone through to be here right now. You are rock stars. And so we got to it's a quick turnaround, right? And so stop everything and take care of yourself and love yourself and be in the purpose, not the presence of the moment. I mean, the presence is a beautiful energy because it's like we're opening our presence of our gifts, but the purpose of the moment, always bring yourself back like, oh, I am a warrior. I'm in God's army. I'm just kicking some major butt and preparing for the next chapter that leads ahead. We've been the weak and the vulnerable. We stayed, because we stayed in our truth, in our light, we were persecuted again and again. And now that weakness needs to be brought into the strength that it really is. And I'm sorry there isn't more support for you right now. It's something about going through the wilderness alone so that we can be together on the other side and knowing that we did it, knowing that we are our own savior. And so just keep focused on that light to come. It's at the end of the tunnel, but we can see it now. So hang in there, have a beautiful, wonderful time in this sweet and supportive energy. And look out for, I hope you can join me for the soul group session on the December 3rd to celebrate and focus timeline alignment and soul retrieval energy really strong coming in. Like, are you ready to bring back all the pieces of yourself? Are you ready to feel whole and complete? So when we bring our energy together, even if you can't make it at all on the call or you can't make it at the live time, we are connected. And every time you've done an activation or a soul group session, it's like you're connected to the group, and you can receive, your whole soul group can receive, your ancestry can receive by you being present in this work here together. It's so important, and I couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much for being here, for your support. And I look forward to working with you for that for that solar eclipse. And I'll see you on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.